Prakash, I'm sure you have ideas on the health aspects of training, right? Do you want to just talk a little bit of that before we move into the next section?
Yeah, interesting observations made by all of them, and be it whatever genre they're singing, everybody focused on Shruti alignment and, the throw of the voice, resonance aspect, and the breath support. So that is fundamental, but that's all at the what you see at the output. But most important, first thing is the aptitude, the psychocognitive aspect, where they can understand, grasp, and so singing is a serious activity which requires so much of understanding of what the teacher is telling and absorbing it and then trying to reproduce it. So that the grasp and to develop, I think around the age will be around 7.5 to 8, maybe the right thing to do. Even structurally, I would think the biological systems are adequately mature for us to take the rigors of training. And when you heard all of them, they were all talking about how serious training it's going to be. And so it's important for us to, produce the sound which is strong, which means the system has to be developed well. So that is the age. Apart from what they have told, I would think the posture, right from the beginning, you have to talk about the posture. And the posture alignment gives the support for the breath. And if the breath is adequately triggered well, the voicing becomes much more comfortable. If the voice is comfortable, then comes your resonating cavities, where diction, pronunciation becomes very, very important. So these are the different other aspects which comes in the training. And many times when these are not addressed in the training issues, it becomes a health impediment. It lands up in a hyper-functioning system because there's always compensating for something which is not working adequately, either the breath or the resonance or the voice itself. So I think that is how the training and the health component merge. Okay, if that answers your question.
Yes, it definitely does. And I think this is a good segue into our next segment, which is about voice health, right? And it really comes down, and I want to ask all of our panelists or anybody who would like to answer is, do teachers talk about voice health in their classes? And how does a teacher know when there's a student who needs help, right? At whatever age. So anybody can answer. Sure, Nisi.
Yes, even from the word go, like from the very first lesson itself, we do talk about vocal health, about the things that they need to do to be able to keep their tone nice and clean. So we do discuss that. And I have come across students who've had vocal health problems, vocal cord problems, because the minute I hear a certain hoarseness or when they start cracking, and sometimes, something that they could have handled easily doesn't come easily to them anymore. And it's not because they have a cold or anything like that. And sometimes, the suddenly their range becomes very deep suddenly. So fortunately or unfortunately, I've actually told these students, please go and get your vocal cords checked with an ENT. And I'm again, as fortunately, unfortunately, I haven't been wrong. When I tell them that they have issues with their voice. So some of them have strained it prior. Some of them have developed vocal nodules, and I'm able to hear these things, and I talk to them about it. And also excessive shouting, screaming, sports day in school, you know how it is, right? And when they come to you for vocal lessons, they're like, oh, miss, don't think I can sing today. I said, see, this is what happens. Of course, for them, it's fun and all that, but if they cannot continue this kind of, abuse of the vocal cords, I will say. So, because we are aiming for a nice, clean sound, and there are other factors as well, what they eat, what they drink, temperature. I mean, there's so many things that come into play, and obviously, not using the abdominal support enough and putting strain on their vocal cords.
Yeah, absolutely. The food habits and those kind of effects. Vaishnavi, do you want to do you want to spotlight a little bit on that, on some of the food habits that are important for singers and their effects?
There are people say that you shouldn't have cold stuff or you shouldn't have spicy stuff. But I feel at the end of the day, each person is different, and if you eat or drink as per what your body accepts, as per your constitution, you're going to be okay. But there are always certain things that will do good to your voice, like sipping water, warm water, and steam inhalation. So these are like good habits that you can develop, so that your voice stays, for maintenance of your voice. But every musician, every singer needs to find what really helps them, or there are certain things that will affect them and certain things that won't. So it's up to each singer to decide for themselves, find out about themselves and be aware, and then avoid those what whichever doesn't help them.
First time I heard Prakash say in one of our workshops, saying that coffee is terrible for singers, and my heart broke. I don't drink coffee, but I know every singer.
I'm a coffee lover. I just love coffee. I
Most
fall in
most
love
South
with
Indians
coffee.
are. Most
Filter
South
coffee.
Indians are, but
I was like, how are singers singing if the coffee is not good for them?
well,
Yeah,
caffeine has its own effect, but yeah, it causes dryness and it stimulates acidity. So in that sense, it's bad. But having an overdose of anything does damage the system. But I mean, food habits, there is no specific food which does any good for your voice box, or there is nothing which will really make it really bad. It depends upon how the system is. Vaishnavi said how you are adapting. But there are generic things which generally triggers acidity. So food is related to acidity. So acidity is something which all singers should try to prevent. And if there is acidity, it's going to cause more damage to the voice box. So it's very important that they stay away from acid-provoking food. So anything which will stimulate the acidity in the stomach. Another important thing is the timing of the food and the way you eat the food. So eat at regular intervals. Don't starve. Okay, eat at frequent intervals so that there is no acidity. And second is chew well and then swallow. Many times we are listening to somebody or watching something, and then you don't pay enough attention on chewing. You just gulp food, and that becomes. And many times, especially the dinner, is taken quite late in the evening, and then they go to bed immediately, and that causes more acidity. So that is something which generally what to avoid is all the things which starts with C, maybe caffeine, cola, cake, chocolates, and it's cocoa. So anything which starts with C will be, yeah, they're going to. No, but see, the rigors of training is so much. Once you are ready to perform, you better work on the health so that you have the voice to perform.
Absolutely. So I also see like Kalpana, Lalita, and Ram, all of them vigorously shaking their head. Have you all had these kind of similar problems, and how did you kind of solve them, and how did you adjust your system to these sort of acidity being the main real critical?
Yeah, I sort of gave up coffee, and even sleep affects the voice, I have found, or stress also affects the voice to some extent.
Sleep as in the lack of sleep?
Lack of sleep, yes.
100%.
So even students, one can make out from their voice, and any of them I have sent them to ENTs for regular. They should have regular checkups if they have some issues. Yeah, so we look into that at a very
Yes, definitely. Food
disciplined
habits.
manner.
Because
Unfortunately,
travel-
there are some students who are a little bit adamant and think that there's nothing wrong, and kind of wait for a whole year until it gets worse, and then they finally go and ask, like, I told you so.
I
They
know,
should have,
same thing.
done it earlier. Some of them are a little bit, stubborn about these things.
What are the
Unfortunately,
effects of alcohol on your system?
Alcohol causes a lot of dryness to the system. It also induces acidity if you're not taking with alcohol. Alters sensorium. Definitely does not allow you to focus or concentrate. And you heard them all say again and again, alignment with Shruti, and the singer is the lead in the stage. And if that person loses track because of altered sensorium, then definitely, so alcohol is definitely no.
Unless you do years of riyaz with alcohol and singing.
Well, that's a bad advice, I would think, because what happens is the dose of alcohol keeps on increasing. So, in fact, there are interesting studies in audiology where they say your alertness increases with low dose ethanol. Okay, it's called mismatch negativity. With a test, they will be able to identify that your brain the cells priming is much enhanced with a low dose ethanol. But the unfortunate thing is today's low dose, tomorrow it becomes a little more than today's low dose. So it's incremental, and that is detrimental to the voice and the person. So it is not advised at all. No smoking, no alcohol.
Smoking.
No smoking. Smoking is even dangerous than alcohol.
I also advise no ice water or anything cold from the fridge, because I feel maybe doctor can point out if it's not okay. I feel that when we talk, we use a lesser range than when we start singing and training them over 2.5, 3 octaves. So many of them start coughing when they go to lower octave. They are not audible. It takes a couple of months to hit the lower octave pa or ma, and the same up, in the upper octave also. So then the voice is actually going through uncharted phase, and that time they develop some cough or something. And I, of course, advise them that looking at the body temperature, that should probably not jolt it with extreme other side temperatures, warm water. Maybe I am wrong, but it works.
Normal temperature water is always preferred, but there is no problem if a person is used to drinking something cold. If the body is acclimatized to drinking cold things, it's fine. It depends upon several other factors. If you are prone to developing upper respiratory infections because after you have exposed yourself to cold water or cold drinks, then you probably need to avoid them. Otherwise, something which people are used to, the body naturally adapts and acclimatizes. And you should train that too. And so once you start doing it, I mean, I don't want any singer to be a saint. You don't really require to let go everything. You need to learn to adapt and allow the body to acclimatize. Be aware of the bodily changes and how the things are changing as and when your habits are changing. So watching all of these is very important for the singer, and taking care of that health aspect becomes very crucial both in training and in performing. So if you start from the base itself, the training sinks in you very well. And so these are not, you really can't explore much on these. And then it goes all the way till you want to perform.
There might be some couple of exceptionary things. Like I am like very fond of the aroma of coffee, particularly being a South Indian. But there have been few days in my life where I have just survived only on coffee, because I had a lot of recordings, or in one particular time I didn't have solid food, because for me, when I eat more of solid food, if my stomach is full, then my diaphragm gets with obstacles to perform the breathing properly. So I just always try to have half stomach food, that's it. But caffeine has really sometimes helped me to stay awake all the time. Sometimes it helped me, but I'm not here to vouch for it. But still, sometimes when I feel like all said and done, I'm an artist. Like if I'm emotionally stuck with something, if somebody is going to snatch away something from me, which I really love, so that shouldn't become an add-on stress to me. Because for me, like I have given my extraordinary performances, though I was physically ill, but mentally I was like very happy and fine.
So I believe habits are best cultivated through awareness and knowledge. So once you are aware of what it's going to do to you and your body, and when you know what is the effect of it and the counter effect of it, then you know to balance it. So as I told you, no singer needs to be a saint. Okay, so you just need to learn to manage this pretty well, so that it goes on well.